right, folks, welcome to another episode of Fort Worth Roots. We are out here today at Tres Amigos Tacos and Tequila. I believe that's 909 Magnolia.
909 West Magnolia.
I got pretty close. There's a W in there somewhere. Thank you guys for joining us. This is a special sponsorship episode. We like to hang out with our local businesses, the ones that are helping us keep the lights on here at Fort Worth Roots. So, Sandy, thank you for being here today.
Cheers.
We've got some beautiful drinks made from the bar just behind the camera's view. It's Chef Sandy. I screwed that up.
It's okay.
Chef Sandy. And we have been trying to get this together for a while.
I know.
But you're busy and I'm busy, but today we actually got it to work.
We did. But I've been opening a restaurant.
So y'all been here for 6 months now.
Yes.
And there's something I wanted to get out of the way right off the bat because I'm tired of hearing it, and I know you are too. But I want to preference this with a story. I'm going to talk a little shit real quick. I saw a video today of Texas Lieutenant Governor, and he was standing in front of a crowd of people, and he says, we have to get these THC seltzers off the shelf because anybody could just go in and buy these THC drinks and then give them to a minor. And I thought, wow, that's a really insane thing to say because you could do that with alcohol. So if you're going to use that as a reason to take the THC seltzers off the shelf, then you better take the alcohol off the shelf as well. Anyway, it was just a bullshit argument.
I sell a lot of THC seltzers.
But what it reminded me of is, and this is the thing I wanted to address, I hear people saying things like, what was the name of this place before? Yucatan Taco Stand. It shut down, and then the same people opened it up. It's the same restaurant, just a different name. And I thought, wow, the Lieutenant Governor and the people that make that comment sound like the same person. You're just making stuff up. You're not looking into it. You heard something, and you ran with it, and I'm just tired of hearing it because it's new owners. It's a new menu. You guys spent so much time cleaning this place up, repainting the walls, just really turning something that I really didn't think Yucatan was that bad, but you guys have turned this into an absolute palace compared to what it was before.
New air conditioning units, new.
That's important.
It is. We got new kitchen equipment. We replaced walls, not just a paint job and new booths and such, but we put a lot of time and energy and thought into it.
Yeah, absolutely. And
elbow grease.
You've done great. Can we talk a little bit about Sandy and your career here in Fort Worth and abroad? I'm sure you've done some traveling as well.
I primarily worked in Fort Worth.
So what got you into the food game, the restaurant business?
Well, I started working with Chef Paul.
Okay.
When I was 14 on the weekends.
Yeah.
And by the time I was 18, he gave me the helm of one of his restaurants, sent me to culinary school at 19, and I just continued on. I'd help him open restaurants in my spare time while I'd run the infamous Margie's Italian Kitchen that is now reopened.
Where's Margie's at?
Old Highway 80.
Okay.
So I was there for a long time. I went and opened Gas Monkey Bar and Grill and did some freelance stuff.
The one in Dallas?
Yes.
Okay.
And then kind of took a break because sometimes you need a break, and did laser cosmetic procedures. Completely different ball game.
So what were you doing in the laser cosmetic field?
Everything.
Be more specific.
Tattoo removal, hair removal, vein removal.
You're removing veins?
Small ones. Varicose veins. So they're little spider veins you can remove with a laser.
Nice to know that's a service.
It is. And then I went back into the restaurant business and worked for a group that owned a lot of restaurants across the Metroplex for a long time as their chief operations officer. And I saw Chef Paul's last restaurant that hasn't been bought out for sale, which was Yucatan.
Uh-huh.
And the bank wouldn't let me buy Yucatan.
I can imagine why. Yeah.
Yeah, I was naive. But we'd gotten all the paperwork down. We were on signing day, and the bank said no. Sorry, something came up with the name. And I said, all right. And then a couple months later, the landlord called and said, the building's empty. Will the bank give you the money now? The bank said, yeah. Let's go.
Wild.
And so I was going to have to remodel it anyways. I just didn't know the extent of the remodel I was going to have to do because it was definitely more than surface deep. But we did even replace the walls. So the place has been completely remodeled.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. And it's still got the same great patio, which, you know, right there on Magnolia. Love that. And next to the Boiled Owl. So that's a win.
We did take the wood off the patio and open it up so you can see through it and really feel that wind on a nice hot Texas day.
Yeah. That's excellent. There's something that we talked about before we got into the recording, and it's important to you, and it should be important to everybody. Just recently, over the last couple of weeks, there's been several suicides inside the service industry here in Fort Worth. And
there has been, yes.
Honestly, I didn't know about that, Sandy, but I'm glad that you brought it up, and I think that it is something that we should probably talk about.
I agree. I think that the service industry is very stressful on people.
Yeah.
And once you are no longer a robot, a lot of people will just throw you to the side. And I know that some guys that I worked with very recently just committed suicide.
Yeah.
It's pretty heartbreaking. So I think it's very I don't think that enough people discuss it in the restaurant business and the mental health issues that come with this business.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are yelling at people all the time. There's a lot of people that think they need to be yelling at people all the time, and they don't understand that we're all human.
Well, you brought up a really good point earlier. The lack of stability inside in food industry workers, the service industry. You don't generally have health care. You don't have a 401k. In many instances, and these were her words, not mine, but very accurate, you just work until you're dead.
You do. You work until you can't work anymore. And when you're no longer able to work, then what do? And I think a lot of people fall into a deep depression at that point, and they end up killing themselves. That or the alcohol addiction gets to them. Alcohol is very rampant throughout the restaurant industry. And a lot of people can't get away from it. I know that it seems like about 15 years ago, drugs were worse than alcohol.
Right.
And it would be because servers would get their money. They would go out with the cooks, and then they'd do cocaine all night, get up. And when I was a GM at one of the restaurants I was the GM at, I would do a uniform check every day. And I would check everybody to see if they were still hungover, if I thought they were on drugs that day, if I thought they were capable of working with the public. I understand it's a stressful position, but at some point people's got to make the decision to stop.
Yeah.
But I think with the free money per se, the easy money, people will go out and they'll party it and they just think I'm going to make it again the next day.
Yeah.
And then the alcoholism, I think, comes with people not having enough time in their life. You know, most managers work 65 hours a week.
Yeah.
So what do you get to do? You get to go out when you get off of work at 11 o'clock.
And what do you do at 11 o'clock?
You go to the bar. And there's nothing wrong with having a couple of drinks or anything, by all means. I think it's just that the younger crowd and the younger generation don't stop. They don't have just a couple. They think I worked all week. I deserve this. I had a bad day. I need this.
Yeah. I deserve it.
Yeah. When in reality, they need a break.
Yeah.
And there is no break. There's no break to be had. You're not even allowed to pretty much take a break, it feels like, in the restaurant business. I have to tell the guys that work for me and the girls, hey, look, just because you don't smoke cigarettes doesn't mean you don't get a break.
Yeah.
Go take a break. We'll go sit down. There's a lot of people that smoke that are in this business because that's the only break they do get.
Yeah.
If you don't smoke, you don't get a break. That's how it was whenever I was growing up.
I feel like I remember that, yeah.
If you don't smoke cigarettes, then you don't get a break. And I think a lot of managers forget that too.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, well, what are you doing standing around? Well, they got to take a break too.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you only get 10 or 15 minutes to breathe, or sometimes it's 5 or 10 minutes. You got to take a break.
Oh, and you got to take care of your folks, and, you know, you should always be good to your employees, but especially nowadays, right? I mean, it's hard to find good help.
It is.
It seems like that's something that I talk to, or a conversation that comes up a lot when I'm talking to businesses in the service industry. Like, we can't get enough help.
I think that the price of food has gone up so high and the cost of labor has gone up so high that if you go up much more on your prices and cut your margins much more, that you can't afford to pay for the help that you need.
Yeah.
So instead of 2 people that you'd be able to afford 10 years ago, you can only afford 1. And if that one person can't do 2 jobs, then of course you're not going to be able to make it.
Right. Yeah. And people are astonished by the increase in prices at restaurants all across the city. And honestly, it took a lot of our local restaurants and bars probably too much time to raise their prices, because everybody was afraid to raise their prices because they didn't want to lose business. But the cost of everything has gone up, and not just the goods that you get for your kitchen and your bar, but rent. I mean, the amount of attention that Fort Worth has gotten. We're now the 11th largest city. We shot past Austin just a few months ago, and they're projecting by 2040, 2045 that Fort Worth is going to double in population. So with all this extra growth, all the people that are renting space have started to cash in, and so rent has gone up in some cases 3 times what it used to be.
I definitely have noticed that even with apartments.
We're going to have to pause.
All right.
Okay, we had a little technical difficulty. We took care of it. Where were we? We were just talking about cost of everything going up, inflation, and I think that my theory is that we lost a lot of our expendable income around COVID time. Inflation went through the roof. And typically, Texas has been insulated from national inflation by 6 months to a year. We usually feel it much later than everybody else, but I think because everybody is migrating to Texas, we don't get that cushion anymore. So it hit us like a ton of bricks. And
being in the restaurant business, I definitely have a different theory.
Okay, let me hear it.
So when COVID first hit, it was really hard. Everybody buckled down, and either they lost their jobs or I was lucky enough, the company I worked for said, hold everybody down, even paid the managers and the general managers that worked underneath me their bonuses. Said, I'm going to take it out of my pocket. This can't last forever. We can't lose our staff. But then came the stimulus checks.
Right.
And sales tripled.
Yeah.
I mean, they went up 3 times. And we could only do to-go orders, to-go alcohol, to-go everything. And it kept going up. And inflation was there, yes, of course. But everybody was getting all of that money that they were able to spend. They were getting extra money that they were able to go out and blow on whatever they wanted to.
Right.
Then you turned around and they took it away. Then everything started going up. Everybody started living on their credit cards.
Yeah.
So come December this year, I noticed a huge drop. Now, in election years, I noticed a drop in sales anyways. Right. But this year, there was a huge drop in sales. And I'll drive around. I look at other places, and I still can see the numbers from the company I used to work for that had 14 locations. Their numbers dropped 20, 30%. Everybody's living on credit cards because they were so used to getting that stimulus. Then it cut off. So then they started keeping up with their lifestyle using their credit cards. And now there's just nothing left because chicken costs $5 a pound at the grocery store.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even to cook at home, a lot of times it'll cost you the same to cook at home as it does to go out and eat fast food.
Pretty damn close, yeah. We were amazed coming back from Gulf Shores. Was this last year? It's either last year or year before. We were driving back from Gulf Shores, and we stopped into like a Taco Bell and just got a combo meal for me, combo meal for my girlfriend, and it was $30+. And I looked at her and I was like, where are we? Like, what's going on? But that's just the cost of things. And so I think somehow, some way, we're going to have to adapt, because I don't think it's ever going back. You know, I think things are just going to continue to progress in the trajectory that we already have the boat facing, you know.
Well, a lot of the problem is people aren't going back down on their prices. They went up on their prices, and then they don't want to go back down on their prices. So
well, for an owner like you can't go back down on your prices. There's no way.
No, I could. I can't now because it's actually the inflation's getting worse. But you know, you go from $1.25 a pound for chicken, up to, $277, $289.
Yeah.
Until you catch back up, you couldn't go back down because you get so far behind thinking, oh, it's a market fluctuate. It's going to go back down. It's going to be okay. You try to believe that so you don't price yourself out of the market. And now you go almost anywhere you go, you're going to pay $15 to $20 for a hamburger.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Mm-hmm. I can't get out of a restaurant for less than 20.
No.
Most days. I mean, if I'm going to have water and a kid's meal, I think I could maybe get that.
Or it could be $2 Taco Tuesdays here.
That's right.
And you get $3 tequila.
That's
so
right.
for $5, you can get a tequila and
honestly,
a taco.
on Magnolia, this is one of the best places to eat. But I don't think you can get it any cheaper on Magnolia. I don't think so.
Magnolia's rent is pretty high.
I'm talking about the food.
Yeah.
I'm not, but yeah.
No, I know, but I mean the fixed cost is your rent, and so you have to build that into your food cost. Everything is built in through your food cost.
Yeah, but you understand what I'm saying? That the menu items that you have in the food specials and the drink specials on Magnolia, there's not a cheaper place for a customer to come to enjoy a meal.
Yeah.
I think.
I would agree. They've got some pretty expensive stuff up and down the street.
Yeah, and we've got some great restaurants up and down the street.
Oh,
Magnolia's
absolutely.
the best. This is one of my favorite. It might be my favorite spot in Fort Worth. South Main. It's got some jewels on there, but yeah, I think probably Magnolia is where it's at. Now, if you want to see live music, South Main, for sure.
That used to be Magnolia.
Really?
Yes. When Yucatan opened, there was a band here 4 days a week.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I thought you meant Magnolia used to curve up South Main.
No. It used to be Magnolia was known for its live music.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're seeing a lot of that move away, too. There's restaurants. I always use Fred's as an example. And I haven't been in there since I heard this, but I was told Fred's over on their new location, they ripped their stage up.
Oh.
And they're not doing any more live music.
That surprises me.
And then there's other locations around town that have stopped doing live music, too, because people just aren't getting out and supporting live music anymore. No one leaves the house. But
they don't have the money for the gas.
That's exactly right. And then the other part of that is we've got drone services that signed another 4-year agreement with Fort Worth. So now you literally don't have to leave the house for anything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's a different world.
It is. The drone services scare me a little bit.
I hate it. I really do.
I think it takes away from human interaction.
That's a big part of it. Yeah, I thought it was a funny addition to the Uber Eats app where you can request to just have them drop it off. Don't knock on my door. Don't look at me. Just drop it off and go.
I particularly like that.
I do too now. I do too. Because I don't want to watch them fumble with the bag and I got to stand there and wait for you to get your shit together. I do too. And but I just
Tips already on there. You don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
Dogs don't have to bark. Don't ring the doorbell. Just drop it off.
Yeah.
Send me the text message.
I'm getting the food at the house because I didn't want to interact with the public. So
yes. Pizza places will drop off your food now too and just leave it outside.
Yeah, that's totally normal. Do you guys do delivery?
We do.
Y'all work through the Uber app?
We do
Eats
Uber
app?
Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, Favor.
Yeah. And
you can also order online directly from our website.
I feel like as a local restaurant, you almost have to do that. If you don't do it, you're probably missing out on 50% of your revenue.
Oh, yes. I know, 15 years ago, people would laugh and be like, oh, you don't need that. Well,
Yeah.
15 years ago, people made phone calls.
Right.
Now they just text.
Mm-hmm. Or hit you up on Instagram. Sandy, we were talking back and forth, and Sandy finally on Facebook, she's like, will you just text me? Because I was, for whatever reason, just messaging you through Messenger.
I don't have my messages on social media because my phone goes off enough without social media.
Right.
So I have to actually go on there and look.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were messaging me, and I didn't look at it for 24 hours, and I had no idea that you had messaged me. So I was like, oh, it might be better if you just text.
Well, what's so funny about... So I message people directly through text, phone calls, email, instant messenger, Instagram, all the stuff. And what I've found is that everybody has their own little way that they like to be contacted. Now, for me, I just want you to text me. It's quick. It's easy. I'm going to get that notification. But everybody's a little different. So I never know. I never know how people prefer to get their information.
Well, you did start putting your phone number online for people to text you to
Yes.
be able to get on your podcast.
Yes. That's the Fort Worth Roots number, which I carry this phone around like it's my phone. But that's supposed to be the hotline. And I've got another phone that's a personal phone. It's dead. It's been dead for like 3 days.
I mean,
I have no use
your girlfriend
for it.
just called you on that one.
Yeah. She's No, nobody's calling me on my personal phone anymore because I always have this one on me. But whatever.
So I know you can edit some of this. Can we go back and discuss a little bit more on the suicide rates in restaurants?
Yeah, we don't have to necessarily edit that out, but yeah.
No, I would like to rediscuss it though.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I kind of got.
You want me to delete all the stuff
No.
we already talked? Okay.
I just want to add to it. I
Yeah.
just kind of got nervous.
Oh no, that's all right.
And
it's your first time on a podcast?
It is.
Okay.
I've been on the news.
I'm glad you're here. I'm glad this is your first time.
I was on the Food Network whenever I was 20.
Right.
So I think a big problem with the restaurant businesses is people are so disposable.
Mm-hmm.
And they come in, and now there's so many people that are addicted to their phones
Yeah.
that they think life is supposed to be something that it's really not. The grass isn't always greener on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
They think, oh, well, this person's got to have it great because they're posting all these great pictures. Well, really, they rented that car. They don't live in that house. And in the restaurant business, it gets so stressful from the long hours, the late nights, and the problems of other people that you're constantly dealing with and trying to make sure that just your restaurant's even covered, that it takes people to the max.
Yeah.
I mean, even, and I hate saying this on here, but Chuck Bush shot himself in the head. And that really hurt me. That was a Chef Paul restaurant. He took it to the max, and once he sold it, I think it really took him under.
And where was Chuck Bush at?
He started franchising out the Fuzzy's taco shops.
Okay. Yeah.
And
So was he the original owner of the original Fuzzies?
Chef Paul was the original.
Okay.
So he bought Fuzzy's from Chef Paul Willis.
Okay.
And he's the one who franchised it out.
Oh,
he took it to the new
okay,
heights. He
okay.
went and he worked. I went to meetings with him, and I'd sit down and talk to him, and he'd say that he would be blow drying the stickers to the bottles. And throughout the years, I've seen several people that have just quick and easy, massive alcoholics that just shoot themselves.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because they do feel disposable.
And when did Chuck take his life?
In 2022.
Okay.
There was never any articles done on it. Nobody really talked about it. It was kind of swept under the rug, I feel like.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of them. There was another guy recently that I worked with that we all worked together, and he shot himself as well. And he was 59. And I'm pretty sure it's because after you get to a certain age with no 401k, no retirement, what do? You're so used to living this fast-paced lifestyle. You're kind of a rock star. And then next thing you know, nobody will hire you, and you're a greeter at Walmart, if you're lucky.
Yeah.
They'll probably replace that with robots, though.
Yeah. 100%. I'm actually a little excited about the robots. But it's going to take all our jobs.
It is. They do have that McDonald's in Fort Worth that's 100% robotic.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Which one is it?
I think it's over in the stockyards. They built it 2 or 3 years ago.
I heard about it, but I never checked it out.
You should check it out.
I'm not a McDonald's guy.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out either.
Here you are telling me to check it out.
I've watched the videos on it.
Yeah.
Primarily because I'm curious about how
does it all work? Yeah.
Well, not only how it all works, but the human emotion that people put into food when they cook it, that chefs put into it creating it, that cooks put into it, the passion that people put into it, you can't get that from a robot.
But it's McDonald's and it's mostly plastic, so
Probably.
maybe it's okay.
Well, I mean, I'm sure that they won't mess up the order, which I
Yeah.
think a lot of people forget is human error.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can order from kiosks everywhere. You don't even have to talk to a person when
Right.
you walk in. You can go to Jason's Deli and just order your sandwich however you want it.
Yeah, I really don't like that. I walked into, this is the second Taco Bell story I've brought up. Obviously, it's like my go-to.
Obviously, you should be coming here more.
Well, yeah. If I'm eating on a timeline and I need something quick, the only fast food place you're going to catch me at is probably Taco Bell. I walked in there. It's a location right off of River Oaks Boulevard, and I walked in and right past the kiosk, didn't even see it. So I go up to the counter. I'm looking and picking out what I want. Lady walks over to me and she goes, "Sir, are you trying to order?" And I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she goes, "There's a kiosk right behind you."
Wow.
I wanted to walk out, but then I remembered how bad I wanted those tacos.
Because you were starving?
Yeah, I was hungry. I'm at Taco Bell. Obviously, I'm starving. So, yeah, I mean, and it's just crazy to me because I'm sure that, like, she's got her own reasons for encouraging me to use that kiosk. But for the longest time when I'd go into
training the customer.
Yeah.
Just training you
For sure.
to use the
Oh, yeah.
kiosk.
But for the longest time when I'd go to a grocery store, if there was an option between self-checkout and a regular line with the cashier, I made it a point to go to the line with the cashier because you're voting with your dollar by showing whoever made the decision to put her in the one open line versus all the other express lanes. They're also trying to train the customer. But if more people just use that line, they'd stop using the self-checkout. This is my mentality anyway.
I hate the self-checkout.
I do too, but
because
I've gotten
I'm going
used to it.
grocery shopping.
Yeah.
But you can't go real grocery shopping at self-checkout
Mm-hmm.
because it has to weigh everything out, and that you're going to have somebody over there resetting the machine for you every time anyways. Drives me nuts.
But I abandoned that approach. I didn't feel like I was helping anymore because I was getting berated by the staff, like self-checkouts over there, or just little comments like that, and you're like, oh, okay, you didn't realize I was doing this for you. You think I'm not smart enough to use self-checkout? You think this wasn't an intentional decision? So after that happened a few times, I'm just like, self-checkout it is.
I'm still pretty stubborn.
It took a couple years for me to get there, but
Yeah.
after a while, it was like, okay, well, you don't care, I don't care.
If I'm in a hurry and I've only got a couple of items, I'm okay with it. But there's some places that just don't ever have cashiers, and then I'll stop going. Like,
I've been to Walmart plenty of times when there are zero lines open other than the self-checkout.
Yeah, I haven't been to Walmart in years. I've gone to the neighborhood Walmart, but the actual Walmart, I would have a drone deliver it first.
Yeah.
Last time I went, it was probably like 30 self-checkout cash registers wrapped around in a circle. And I was like, oh, no, thank you.
What's your grocery store of choice?
Usually Kroger.
Yeah. I'll go for a Kroger, a Tom Thumb if it's around. But do we have any Tom Thumbs in Fort Worth?
We
have
do.
one on 7th.
There's one over on Camp Bowie.
Okay. Yeah.
And Brian
they're a
Irving,
couple.
right?
Yeah. Out towards our house, we've got an Albertsons. That's about the best we can do.
Tom Thumb owns Albertsons, too.
Does it really? Okay.
So I don't mind. There's an H-E-B over, they're pretty good.
H-E-B's cool.
It is.
I like H-E-B, but man, that's the busiest grocery store that you'll ever walk into.
They have cashiers.
Why is it so popular? They do, right?
Yeah, they do.
Do they even have? Yeah, they do have self-checkout, I think.
I don't know, because they have so many cashiers,
But they
you
do
don't
have
look for it.
Yeah, they do have a bunch of
they
cashiers.
have cashiers.
Yeah.
So, and Kroger is usually pretty good at least having 2 or 3. So if I'm going to actually go grocery shopping, I'll go somewhere that I know is going to have a cashier.
The thing about Walmart is there's only one place in our city where you can get a blonde wig, duct tape, and a quart of motor oil in one place.
That's
so
true.
sometimes you just need Walmart. You don't know why, but it's going to come
Sometimes I do need duct tape, a blonde wig, and a quart of oil. It's a true story. You never know. So I agree. I mean, I gave up Walmart years ago because people would run me over with carts.
Yeah.
And
It's a nasty place.
it is. And I couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
It was really just the people that were that go into Walmart almost had zero respect whatsoever for anybody around them.
Yeah.
And it was actually one here in Fort Worth is the reason why I quit going over off of Beach Street.
Yeah. Yeah, not the greatest place.
Yeah, and I just decided after that, if it's not absolutely necessary, I'm just not going to go.
That's the move. Yeah, we should all boycott Walmart, and we should all buy a church and live in it. Our own church. Everybody should have their own church.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's an idea.
It is an idea.
What do we got coming up next here at...
We have Cinco de Mayo coming up, May 5th. We're going to do $4 margaritas.
$4 margaritas. Okay. These bad boys here?
All weekend long, because Cinco de Mayo is on a Monday this year.
That's going to mess up somebody's schedule.
Just about everybody's. But we're going to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday Cinco party.
I wanted to make sure that I brought this up. And I'm not affiliated with these people. I don't even know how I feel about the Fort Worth Weekly. But I give them money every week to make sure that people remember to support local businesses. And it's supposed to be on the back page, but it looks like they got Sundance Square as a customer this week, so I got bumped out of the way. I was told I'd always be on the back page. That was a lie. Anyway, you guys are ever looking for a local business to shop with? Fort Worth Roots bought a 1/6-page ad, and who knows? Who knows where it'll be? It's supposed to be always on the back page, but hasn't been lately. I'm sure
it was.
It usually is.
2 weeks ago when I looked at it.
It usually is, but every once in a while something new happens, and I'm sure if I contacted the prestigious people at Fort Worth Weekly, they'd be like, "Oh, well, you see, this is a special blah 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 edition." And I'd be like, "Yeah, well, you told me it'd always be on the back." Anyway, if you guys are looking for a way to find and support local businesses, Fort Worth Roots always has a spot somewhere in the Fort Worth Weekly, typically towards the back, with places like Tres Amigos in it. And so just another way that you guys can shop local.
And we are local. We aren't the old owners of Yucatan.
Stop saying that. Or you and Lieutenant Governor of Texas can be buddies with your silly statements, making up stuff.
You should have read the article that the Fort Worth Weekly put out. It said Yucatan more than Tres Amigos.
What does that mean?
It means that they talked more about the restaurant that was here than they did mine.
Who did?
The Fort Worth Weekly.
They wrote an article talking about how they talked about the other restaurant too much?
They wrote an article that talked about the restaurant that was supposed to be about my restaurant, that talked about the other restaurant more than it talked about mine, and it was supposed to be about mine.
Way to go, Fort Worth Weekly.
I do like I do like some people at the Fort Worth Weekly.
I do too. I do too.
Clint, the owner's son.
Uh-huh.
He comes in. He eats every Wednesday here. He's, I think he has autism, so he doesn't like a lot of people.
Yeah,
but he goes in
same.
everywhere, and he doesn't eat everywhere. But he comes in here and he eats, and
It's his happy place.
it is. And he has to come in every week. So every week the owner's like, "Hey, I'm gonna stop in. We have to have our lunch." And so they come in and they'll do meetings here, which is really nice. And I just make sure he gets vanilla ice cream at the end. He's always happy.
But as long as you got the cheat codes,
I know.
you know what to do.
Well, there are some good people there.
Yeah, and I got a shout out to Tony Diaz. That's my boy at the Weekly. I love Tony. He's really good, and he puts up with my bullshit. So he'll text me like once a week. He'll be like, "Hey, you're supposed to send in your new graphics," and I'm like, "Oh, Tony, I'm sorry, I forgot." And I'll send them over to him real quick, and Tony's like, "Cool, man, that works." And anyway, so Tony puts up with a fair amount of bullshit from me. So thanks, Tony.
I know the feeling. I don't even create the ads. Lee's just like, "I'll just give it to Julie," and then I get a text message, and I'm like, "It looks great, thank you." And she always does such a great job. Like I don't have to worry about any of it. I'm like, "Oh wow."
Yeah.
So they do some really good things, and they have freelance writers and such, so it's hard to.
Oh yeah, our freelance people. Like shout out Johnny Govea, one of Fort Worth's #1 photographers. Big fan of Johnny Govea. I still have some of his shoes at the studio. He did a wardrobe change for a Denver Williams music video, and left his slides over there, and they're sitting underneath the AC unit at the studio. So holler at me, Johnny.
You know who's a really good photographer in Fort Worth?
Tell me.
Chef David Hollister.
I don't know him.
You don't know David Hollister. So I opened Gas Monkey with him.
Okay.
And he took all of the pictures for John's Grill over out at John's Ranch, the cattle ranch.
Okay.
But he makes some amazing pictures. He doesn't make them. He takes some amazing
good
pictures.
ones? Yeah.
Yes, he actually came in and did food pictures for me, and headshots, and he goes around and he just does some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
I'll show you when we get off.
Okay. I'm blanking on his name, and I shouldn't. Somebody told me who he was the other day. I was at the Bob Bolin Safety Center, and Craig said, "This is so-and-so." And I went, "Oh, you're the Fort Worth Fire Department's photographer." And he goes, "Yeah, I'm one of them." And I said, No. You are because I've seen all of his photos over the last 3, 4, 5 years while I've been following the Fort Worth Fire Department. And my God, the pictures he takes are incredible.
I just saw the Fort Worth Fire Departments the other day. I follow Michael Beard for the Fort Worth Police Department.
Okay.
And somebody had reposted some of the firefighters' photos, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, they're incredible. Sandy, we're going to get out of here.
Great.
Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for being a sponsor of the show.
Thanks for having me.
We can't do this. We can't continue doing our morning show and our regular shows and getting information out to the public and providing entertainment for our friends without people like you. So thank you.
Well, hopefully more people in Fort Worth realize that they can sponsor you and the good that you do with talking to the mayor and actually caring about our town. And thank you for caring so much about the city we all grew up in.
Yeah, thank you. Of course, we're here to do anything we can to help support this place. Come by and check it out. Tres Amigos, 6 months ago they started this thing, and they have been waiting for you to show up ever since. So order online or come into the store and check out this bar. There's pictures. I'll share some pictures with you. The aesthetics of this place are amazing. So y'all come check it out.
Thank you.
On Instagram, it is Tres Amigos Tacos and Tequila?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you'll be able to find that in the show notes for this episode. Thank y'all again for listening, and we will see you for the next one. Bye-bye.